Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world right now. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is Zalwora here. I'm sitting here. It is January 4th, 2026. I've got my coffee here. It's a little cold because, honestly, I haven't been able to stop reading the news feeds since I woke up. And I'm looking out the window, and everything looks calm, right? The sun is up, the world is turning. But then you unlocked your phone. You saw the notifications. You saw the headlines about Venezuela. You saw the charts. And suddenly, that pit formed in your stomach. You know the feeling I'm talking about. It's that vibration in the air that screams that something massive is shifting beneath our feet right now. Welcome back to the channel. We need to have a serious conversation today. If you are new here, let me tell you what this is. This isn't CNBC. This isn't some guy in a suit reading off a teleprompter telling you everything is fine. This is the war room. This is where we look at the chaos of the global economy, the wars, the AI revolution, the crypto explosions, and we don't run from it. We decode it. We treat it like a thriller novel where we are figuring out the plot twist before anyone else does. So, grab your drink, get comfortable, because today we are going full vlog mode. We are trying to make sense of a world that quite frankly feels like it is on fire. And I say fire because look at where we are standing. I want you to visualize something with me. Close your eyes if you have to. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a massive cliff. The wind is howling so loud you can barely hear yourself think. That wind, that is the geopolitical chaos we are seeing right now. It is the US raids in South America that happened literally yesterday. It is the trade wars in India. It is the tension in the Middle East. But then, look down at the water below. It is rough, it is stormy, but every once in a while, a massive wave crashes against the rocks and leaves behind something shiny, something gold. That is the market in 2026. On one side, you have artificial intelligence lighting up the sky like fireworks, promising to fix everything. On the other side, you have governments fighting for control. And right in the middle, that is where we are. That is where your portfolio is sitting. You might be asking yourself, Zalwora, why should I listen to you? Why not just put my money in a savings account and hide under the covers? Well, let me take you back. Remember 2021? Remember the crypto mania where everyone was a genius until they weren't? I was there. I called the dip when everyone else was screaming, to the moon. Remember the panic of 2022? I was there then too. And now, here we are in 2026. Bitcoin is hovering at $90,000. Companies we thought were invincible are shaking, and new empires are being built in the UAE and India. I have been in this game, watching bubbles burst and booms explode. And I'm telling you right now, we are at an inflection point. This isn't just another year. This is the year where fortunes are going to be made by the people who are paying attention and lost by the people who are paralyzed by fear. My goal is simple. By the end of this video, I want to turn your anxiety into a strategy. I want to turn this chaos into your comeback story. If you're ready for that, if you're ready to stop worrying and start capitalizing, do me a favor. Smash that like button right now. Let's wake up the algorithm. Hit subscribe if you want to survive 2026 with your sanity intact. And drop a comment below telling me what is the one thing keeping you up at night right now. Let's talk about it. Before we look forward, we have to look back. We have to understand how we got here. Let's rewind the tape a bit. Let's go back to 2025. Think about the crypto market last year. We saw the total market cap smash through $4 trillion. $4 trillion. That is a number that is hard to even wrap your head around. Bitcoin became boring, and I mean that in the best way possible. It stopped jumping up and down 20% in a single day and started acting like a grown up asset. It was actually less volatile than Nvidia for a while there. That was a huge signal. But then we had the drama. Remember the fourth quarter of 2025? The AI token crash? I remember talking to a friend of mine around November last year. He was heavy into all these random AI coins, promising they were the next big thing. And in the span of a few weeks, the sector dropped nearly 30%. Billions of dollars just evaporated. Why? Because the big guys entered the room, the institutions. They didn't want to play with the small scammy tokens. They wanted real infrastructure. And that is where the real trend of 2025 started. Agentic AI. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be that phrase. Agentic AI. We moved from AI that just talks to you like a chatbot to AI that actually does things for you. I know a guy who set up an AI agent to manage his DeFi yield farming. He literally went on vacation for 2 weeks, didn't check his phone once, and came back to more money than he left with. The AI moved his funds around, chased the best yields, and managed the risk. That is the future we stepped into last year. But it wasn't all tech and rainbows. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, the tariffs. When Trump announced those tariffs on India and other nations, the market had a heart attack. I remember watching the Indian stock tickers just bleed red. The US slapped double tariffs on Indian goods, 55% on exports. It felt like a trade war that could sink the global economy. But here is the plot twist, and this is why I love following this stuff. India didn't collapse. They pivoted. They didn't just sit there and cry about the US market closing up. They turned around and started selling more to the Middle East, to Southeast Asia, to Europe. It was a masterclass in resilience. And speaking of the Middle East, look at the UAE last year. While the West was arguing about regulations, the UAE just said, "We are going all in." 97% government AI adoption. Saudi Arabia pouring billions into sovereign AI models. They saw the tariffs and the trade wars and realized they needed to build their own future. So that was 2025. It set the stage. It loaded the gun. And now 2026 has pulled the trigger. Okay, let's get to the news that is blowing up everyone's phone right now. Yesterday, January 3rd, 2026, Venezuela. Now, whether you agree with the politics or not, we are investors. We have to look at what this means. The immediate reaction is chaos. We have reports of refugees fleeing toward Chile, borders are straining, and there is a lot of fear in Latin America. But from a market perspective, this is a massive shock to the system. Venezuelan oil is now effectively under US management. Think about that. For years, that oil was locked away or sold on the black market to China. Now, it might be coming back online for the West. Short term, it's scary. Energy stocks are going to be volatile because nobody knows if the pipelines are safe. Supply chains are disrupted. But long term, this could flood the market with oil, bringing energy prices down. And low energy prices are like rocket fuel for the rest of the economy. But it's not just Venezuela. The whole world is a powder keg. We have the situation in Ukraine still dragging on. We have tensions in the Taiwan Strait. Analysts are saying there is a 50% risk of escalation there. That is terrifying because that is where all our chips come from. And then you have the Middle East. Tensions between Iran and Israel are boiling again. But I want you to look at the charts. What is gold doing? What is Bitcoin doing? They are going up. Why? Because when the world feels unsafe, people want assets that no government can print and no government can easily confiscate. Bitcoin is becoming the fear gauge. When tanks roll in one part of the world, Bitcoin wallets activate in another. So, how do we handle this geopolitical mess? We don't panic sell, we hedge. We look at defense stocks. Sadly, war is profitable. We look at cybersecurity companies because the next war won't just be with missiles, it will be with code. And we look at crypto as our insurance policy against currency collapse. Alright, let's fly over to the US markets, the American powerhouse. If you look at the Nasdaq right now, it's acting a bit like a moody teenager. It doesn't know what it wants to do. It opens high, drops low, closes flat. Why? Because Wall Street is worried we are too reliant on AI. Every headline is asking, is the AI bubble going to burst? Are we spending too much on chips? And I am here to tell you, no. We are just getting started. Think about the internet in the late 90s. There was a bubble, yes. Pets.com went to zero. But the internet? The internet didn't go away. It ate the world. That is where we are with AI. The companies that are just hype are going to die. The companies that are actually building the rails, they are going to be the biggest companies in history. I'm looking at stocks like Nvidia. Everyone says it's too expensive. But with the tariffs potentially easing up and demand for chips still skyrocketing because of these new agent AIs, I think we are looking at another surge in January. But I want to give you some under the radar ideas. Don't just buy the chip makers. Buy the companies that use the chips to make money. Look at robotics. Look at physical AI. We are moving from AI that writes poetry to AI that folds laundry. That is a massive market. And look at the boring stuff: payroll processing, insurance. Companies like ADP or Lemonade. If they can use AI to cut their costs in half, their profits are going to double. It's simple math. I saw a thread on X talking about Broadcom. They have a $10 billion backlog. That means people are lining up around the block to buy their stuff. That doesn't sound like a bubble bursting to me. So, for the US market in 2026, my strategy is quality. I'm not buying the speculative trash anymore. I'm buying the companies that have cash, that have a plan, and that are using AI to become super efficient. Now, let's leave the US and look at where the real growth is happening. I am super bullish on India and the Middle East this year. Let's start with the Middle East. If you are living in Dubai or Riyadh, you know what I'm talking about. The energy is different. Abu Dhabi is trying to become the AI capital of the world. They are building data centers that use 5 gigawatts of power. Do you know how much power that is? That's enough to power a small country. Ray Dalio, the legendary investor, called this region the Silicon Valley of capitalists. While the US and China are fighting over trade, the Middle East is doing business with everyone. They are the neutral ground, and in a fragmented world, being neutral is very, very profitable. And then there is India. I have so much respect for the Indian market. They took a massive punch to the gut with those US tariffs. 50% duties could have crippled Indian economy, but it didn't. GDP took a tiny hit, maybe 0.8%, but they made up for it by growing their own consumer base. There are over a billion people in India. They are buying cars, they are buying phones, they are investing. I'm seeing a lot of chatter on social media about a China to India rotation. Investors are pulling money out of China because of the geopolitical risks and dumping it into India because it's a democracy with a massive growth runway. If you are looking for a place to put money for the next 10 years, not just the next 10 days, look at Indian infrastructure and Indian tech. Alright, I know what you guys have been waiting for. Let's talk crypto. Bitcoin at $90,000. Ethereum near $3,000. What is happening? We are seeing the 4-year cycle play out, but with a twist. Usually, crypto goes up, then crashes 80%. This time, the crash isn't happening like that. Why? Because BlackRock is here. Fidelity is here. Pension funds are here. They don't panic sell when the price drops 5%. They buy more. My prediction for 2026? We are going to see stable coins, crypto dollars, double in market cap. People in countries with failing currencies, like what we might see in Venezuela or parts of Europe, are going to use crypto just to survive. And then there is the real world assets trend, RWAs, tokenizing real estate, tokenizing stocks. I think this sector is going to do a 10x this year. Imagine being able to buy 1/100th of an apartment in New York or Dubai instantly on the blockchain. That is coming. But I have to be honest with you, there are risks. Quantum computing is the boogeyman in the closet. Everyone is whispering about it. What if quantum computers can crack Bitcoin? It's a valid fear, but developers are already working on quantum resistant codes. So don't let the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt scare you out of your position. I remember buying my first fraction of a Bitcoin years ago. My hands were shaking. I thought I was throwing money away. Now it's the best performing asset in my portfolio. So let's wrap this up. 2026 is going to be chaotic. There will be headlines that make you want to sell everything. There will be days where the market is red and the news is bad. But remember the image of the storm. We are the sailors who know how to navigate this. Here is your checklist. Don't ignore the geopolitics. Watch Venezuela, watch Taiwan. If things heat up, have some cash ready to buy the dip. Stick with quality AI. Don't buy the hype, buy the revenue. Look east. India and the Middle East is building the future while the West fights the past. Hold your crypto. It is your insurance policy. This is going to be an adventure, guys, and I am so glad you're on this journey with me. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please do me a favor. Smash that like button. It really helps the algorithm find other savvy investors like us. Hit subscribe if you haven't already and ring that bell so you don't miss the next update. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What is your wildest prediction for 2026? Do you think Bitcoin hits 150K? Do you think the US economy booms or busts? Let me know. I'm Zalwora. This is your 2026 Outlook, and I will catch you in the next one. Stay safe, stay invested. Peace. Thanks for watching.